There's different flavors. Uh,
I think Kim is taking this tonight.
She is.
Hi, folks.
Yeah.
I give.
Sorry for a little delay. I think we are all up and running, thankfully, because Maddie is here. All right, but I'll call the meeting to order. Before we jump in, are there changes to the agenda or how much time we want to spend on? I think it's mostly focused on the budget, but
Yeah, no,
good with that. Okay. Minutes from August?
I'd like to move that the minutes be approved as submitted.
Second.
What's the present?
For those that were there, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
There's so
All
many.
right, so approved. Great. Well, the next thing is budget. And you can follow along, Kim, with the version you have? 'Cause
Yes.
Yes. All right,
I went old tech.
Oh,
you got
wow,
tech,
good.
do you have it? So,
Budget?
yeah, so you guys can see as we go through.
Yes.
You want it?
Um,
Sure,
yeah, there
I
you
did
go.
read it.
So. Should we discuss quickly the questions of drawdown, the overall approach, because that will influence how,
That'd be
whether.
great.
Yeah,
Okay, so the select board last go round said they wanted us to basically change the system when it came to the town forest reserve. And not have a reserve fund, and if we had expenses, we would put it in, and if we didn't spend that money, so be it. It doesn't stay in the fund. We're sitting on a town forest reserve fund of,
yeah, at the moment it is with anticipated expenses about 44,000.
so as we go through this, I guess the question is for any identified costs associated with Boyce or Chasebrook, is the intention that we can identify that cost, but it will not be part of the budget because
Correct.
we are just trying to,
Yeah, that's my understanding.
so that's what we will do?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, it's my understanding as well. And it just kind of feels like a sailor in port on payday. We don't have to go to daddy to get expenditures approved.
Yeah.
Really, right?
And one thing we had talked about, and whether it's something to revisit with the select board at some point, was having a balance in the town forest reserve account. They had said to us, at that meeting, that they would like it to be spent down. But I think there is potentially benefit in having, we're not gonna be spending $44,000 in, a year.
course.
I can't imagine. But I would think that there's some benefit in having some fund in that reserve, whether that's 30,000, 10,000, 20,000, I'm not sure what that number is. But when we're, going for grants, different from the conservation reserve fund, right? Where that might be a good match to get an easement, but for any other type of a grant, like the invasives management, that requires matching funds.
Mhm.
so we would have to come up with a proposal for the town forest reserve fund to be changed to something that, because the invasives aren't necessarily limited to the town forest, so, right, if it's a matching grant, it might not be. It would, but we wanted to keep that money in there. Say the balance that we wanted to hold for things like matching grants is 20,000. Over the next 3, 4, 5, whatever, 10 years, we draw down to that point. And within that time, we would have to change the town forest reserve fund to reflect that moving forward. It has 20,000 in it, and our goal is basically to keep it at 20,000. So that when grants come along and they require a match, we can use it, and then say it's a big grant and it's got a $5,000 match in 2032. We would come back the following year to ask that they put in 1,000 or start to build it back up to 20. Okay,
Mhm.
I'm just trying to understand the full.
Yeah, and whether
Concept.
that has to be expanded beyond town forest reserve fund. Or not, that's, I guess, two different kinds of questions, and whether the select board would be amenable to that or not, I don't know.
Well,
But-
there's the other option. Is to. Because we talked about this at the budget meeting, when they said, well, what about the conservation reserve fund? I said, well, that's limited.
Mhm.
And they said, well, and we talked about that, whether we expand what the conservation reserve fund could be used for. And they would sign off on that, and then every year we just keep building that up, and the town forest reserve, we would just go past the.
Right, so that's also, I guess, on the table, something to be considered. I don't know if there's anything statutory around the conservation reserve fund. I know there's no documentation around our town forest reserve fund, but there is around the conservation reserve fund.
Yeah, there wasn't a lot though.
No, not a lot.
I am certainly not familiar with whatever those words are for either fund. Yeah, are we saying that as far as we know, there's nothing for the town forest reserve?
That's right.
And whatever there is for the conservation reserve. Yeah, I would assume that's for easements and acquisition.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
So it's pretty limited
Yeah.
in scope.
Okay. Any questions on just some of Kim, you probably. If you're wondering about some of the past and why things are changing, we can fill you in.
Okay.
The long and the short of it is. There were some. Maintenance type aspects that we had in our budget that the select board didn't think last year when we came back and had our proposed budget. They were asking, well, why, like, so if you don't use that, then you have all this money. If it's a reserve fund, it stays there. Any other account, we might have the budgetary authorization to make those expenditures, but if we don't, town of Fayston, that money isn't squirreled away into an account that we can use year after year. And so that town forest reserve fund, I don't know if it was growing, but was either holding or growing over time.
It's growing.
It was growing.
Yeah.
And they had questions about some of the things like certainly mowing and expenditures that they didn't think really should be part of a reserve fund. And so overall, they found that would make more sense if all of our expenses associated with town forest management were proposed as yearly line items that they could look at and think about funding or including in the budget, but that it wouldn't, if they did authorize that budget, it wouldn't go to a reserve fund where we would get to sit on that, even though we might not do that particular aspect of management. So we have these town forest reserve fund and sub accounts. And we'll be looking at bringing those down, so we won't be adding money into them, even though there might be ongoing expenses for quite some time, I bet.
Got it.
Okay. So do we want to go through
Sure.
then?
All right, so I took last year's proposed budget that we shared with the select board, their appropriations. Which were really in line pretty much with what we asked for. So we asked for 4,500, so $400 in the, municipal building budget for the powder post beetle treatment. Great, maybe that goes up a little bit next year. The next account is 5706, the Fayston Conservation Commission annual budget. So we asked for 4,500, we got 4,500 allocated. That was 1,000 for annual operating expenses, 3,000 towards the invasive initiative, which is in general budgeted to be about 5,000. And 500 for the Mad River Valley Bear Initiative. So expenses so far and projected are about 4,275. And that includes 3,500 towards invasives, with the rest coming out of the town forest reserve. Our signs, our Fayston Conservation banner, and then the Tri-Town banner. In total, plus the bungee balls was like, $135. And then some survey markers and knives, another $140 or so. And then the ask from the Bear Initiative for next year will again be $500. Any questions with where we're projected to wind up? And I don't know if there are any other projected expenses in that area
In this fiscal year,
this fiscal year.
the only one I added in was CRV, which came up at yesterday's meeting. So Conservation Recreation Visioning Project has a effort underway called Attitude of Gratitude, led by Misha from the Path, along with Bob Kogut from the Riders and Ira Shadis from Friends. And they have some firm that's putting together a 4-minute video that's gonna it's footage of people recreating and expressing different aspects of this whole campaign of why it's so great to be in the valley and enjoying the resources we have. And they are asking the stakeholders to help with the costs of the of this whole budget expenditure for the consulting firm. And I think groups like Sugarbush have put in 1,000, and I don't think any conservation commissions have put in any money yet. But I would propose that we make a contribution. One of the aspects of Attitude of Gratitude is to basically take care of the places we get to recreate in. So this is not just about recreating, not just about building trails and being nice to other trail goers. It also has a conservation component to it. So I think it's beneficial. And so I'd make a proposal that we participate in the financing of this effort underway this year of an amount anywhere between like 250 and 500. I don't think I would go above the Mad River Valley Bear Initiative, and I don't know if it should be the same amount. So I'm curious what
How much
other.
is what's the budget for the 4-minute film?
Yeah, unfortunately,
Yeah, what do they
I was
need?
waiting to get that from Misha today, but I've not received it.
We
And
got,
we don't have to make that decision today. But
But that we agree, I think that we should support that.
that could
we
be
make
one
that
thing.
decision.
And then I could come back to the next board meeting with more information if we wanted to decide what to, how much to support
Mhm.
this effort. And then an outstanding question for this discussion is whether things like this, we have a line item under operations like we do for the Mad River Valley Bear Initiative for 2026, or whether we think this is part of the annual operating expenses and we just make the decision to support collaborative efforts as they come up. And I would propose to have a line item that. And again, that number could change, but I was thinking, this effort hopefully will continue. I see the opportunity for sign making. Where it tells people how to be respectful, it tells people to support, to thank landowners, tells people to. Take care of. Each sign might be different based on the place it is, if it's a cross-country trail or a hiking trail. But none of that's all potential work to come, so there could be more collaborative efforts, but it's unknown. And so there could be a question of whether to include in this budget a line item. I put in 250 for next year.
I think it's an important collaboration to keep going, and just like the Bear Initiative, is not something that I hope goes away anytime soon, like that education needs to continue, and I think that's the same for CRB. So I think I would support a line item like you have here.
I agree.
Okay.
I think the line item is a good idea, just for transparency, if nothing else, so people can see how these are connected. And I think that's a really good idea.
So if it were 250, for example, we would just about,
Yeah, it's over in,
nail our budget request.
it's over on N. You go to column N, then you
But will
see
we potentially contribute something before the end of the year?
that can be a separate conversation
Right.
from what our budget for 2026 is.
And I see. Yeah.
I can make that proposal maybe at the next meeting when I have more information.
Mhm.
And
Yeah, if it happened
Yeah.
this year, we could take it from the town forest reserve. And
But we
Yeah.
still have the
Yeah,
money.
that's true. It's not like we don't have the money.
future years we could budget for it.
yeah, we might have, within the operating expenses, we're paying for ABCC membership through that. And
Right.
this would almost be like a CRV membership
Yeah.
in some ways,
Mhm.
be analogous.
Okay.
I'm not looking at
So that,
I'm like not seeing, I don't remember not seeing the ABC, if it's $50.
I'm just looking at the notes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because it doesn't have we don't,
We,
we
yeah,
have
we
some
paid it, I
actuals.
think, in December of last year, which is why,
Oh.
so we'll pay it again in
That's why.
December. Yeah, okay, so $50.
so you got on that subject by raising the question of, are there other anticipated expenses this year that might be coming out of one of these categories? And we're considering chipping the debris from our work at Boyce Hill this weekend in
Mhm.
order to create material that's gonna help generate soil faster. Because we think that piles are both gonna impede future work, brush piles, and take too long to degrade into something that's actually regenerating soil. So Pete and I haven't had a chance to discuss how we want to proceed with that, but I'm kind of leaning toward hiring an independent contractor to come on a separate occasion rather than having a heavy and I think somewhat dangerous machine running during our project. And I spoke personally with Adam Whitney today, who's interested in becoming engaged in it. And when we have something for him to look at as far as the amount of material to chip, he would then have a look at that and give us a proposal for the expense. That's something that he believes he could do this fall. So we'll let you know, but that's something they anticipate a possible expenditure. Now, it should be said that a big booster of doing that work, and somebody's kind of been putting a bug in my ear about it, is a contributor to the Boyce Hill gift funds. And so that might be a good way to use some of that money and let the donor know, or donors, and make them feel happy about something that they were hoping would be done, is getting done, and the money's not just dwindling in some nefarious line item of our savings account or whatever our budgeting account is.
So I had breakfast with that donor today.
Very good.
And so those donations, are they in a separate? account?
They're in the town forest reserve.
Yeah,
Okay.
Is that broken out?
no,
So it isn't.
doesn't make sense.
I mean, we see it, I mean,
Yeah.
that
It
donation.
is
yeah.
itemized, is that donor would be a recurring donor, but would be, but needs to have the feeling that the item, that
Yeah.
they, that donations are itemized in some way,
Mhm.
so
Yeah.
that we're able to report to them, and she'll be able to take that information to the board that she represents to ask for more money next year.
And that it's being used for, a specific
stuff,
project or
yeah.
projects.
That she endorsed.
When did that donation come in?
On September 10th.
So maybe we could get a nice card and we could all sign it and thank, unless they're anonymous, but,
They asked to be anonymous.
Is
okay.
this the first time
We
they've made a
could-
No, it's
donation?
not.
Hand it to
no.
you and you could.
No.
give
But
them.
I'm sorry to sound so ignorant, I
At
just
least there
don't,
were 3 others, and some of them came up before your tenure.
Yeah,
oh, okay, I just don't, you said it isn't itemized or it is. There's, I'm just curious.
Yeah, on the financials that we get, every $40 contribution towards like the pruning, apple pruning, would be
Okay.
every single transaction. So including that substantial donation. And it is on line row 73.
And that's
That's
this year's, what about previous years?
Okay,
Yep, that's a measure.
okay.
Yeah, so from Sarah, we have the activity in 2025 as one document, financial document for each of these accounts. And then for the Conservation Reserve Fund and the Town Forest Reserve Fund from inception. So you can see every
Okay.
one of,
Yeah, I know
every
there was
expense
some-
and every
Big
contribution.
Basin, or,
Yes,
no, there was another foundation that made a contribution. For $1,000 or so, probably. 22.
mhm.
Yeah, so we had,
I don't have my readings, it's just, I'm not trying to dive into
Would it help to look at this computer, would it,
the,
we
No.
can make it bigger?
it's okay.
Well, it's
Yes,
your
it
deal.
is, all of them are documented. And they're very generous. Here are some reading glasses. Well,
I can try.
There you go. Can't forget, everybody comes.
I can't get them out, so you can get them out. You. Little feminine.
given Andrea's professional talents, she's got a green visor as well. and-
Okay, I can find a way to make that.
All
I
right.
never had a green visor now.
That's so 1940.
alright. Well,
Okay.
so back to the top section then. I have a question on invasives.
Mhm.
So estimated actual expenditures of 3,400 this year. Why not ask for 3,500 as a budget next year?
So it's, the total bill is gonna be about the same as prior years, about $5,000,
Okay,
or same as last year. But it's maybe a little bit more than last year. So was split in our budget between the annual budget, 3,000 is what we asked for, and town forest. So there's not a ton, but there is knotweed at Chasebrook Town Forest, so that's the rationale. Some of it's going to come from the
okay.
annual operating budget and some of it from the drawdown of the reserve.
Do you, I guess I understand that and wonder, with us not basically asking for, proposing expenditures under the town forest, and we're gonna draw that down. Whether we then isolate the invasive work going into the future, since it is. At some point, the town forest reserve will be gone.
Yeah.
And then you have to make up the gap, and so I'd rather see us neat, since the invasives, there is some at Chasebrook, for sure. But it's a much bigger program than that.
Oh, it's much bigger than that.
And I would propose to just have
Have
it
it come be a line item.
a line item. That way, in the future, it's not like we're not, because we've seen the challenge of trying to push up to keep up with expenses. Or to push up the conservation reserve fund in anticipation of something, and so I'd probably try to have something that's more
Well,
reflective of costs
I think
now.
that's an excellent idea, so I'm gonna change it to 5,000.
Okay. Um. Any other? We've got, and we'll have to figure out whether we want line items in the future, but I guess if we just keep drawing down at some point, do we change the way we present this budget? Because we're not gonna have the town forest requests and have something like upkeep and maintenance, $0. Like, do we build that budget now, or do we build that budget when we actually are gonna ask for money?
That would be my thought, when we're
Okay.
gonna ask for money, just to, to be able to present it, I think, this way to the select board would be helpful, because they've seen everything, in this format. We can show them, what expenses we had against what we were looking at last year and proposing. And, what the plan is, but, maybe I'll confirm with Sarah about this drawdown, but I think that's what the intention was.
Okay,
Would it be helpful to us going forward if we created a budget with line items for things that we anticipate will appear when we get to that point now, so that we have some facility in preparing budgets going forward by looking at line items one by one like
Yeah,
that?
kind of like a capital budget, like what we're proposed, what we think might
Yeah.
happen next year, the year after that,
Yeah.
big things that we think are coming up. Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
I think it'd be helpful, even if there's $0 requested. To move into the budget format that we're gonna be,
Use, yeah.
yeah, and so they can keep seeing the zeros, and so I'm uncertain how to present this year, but I think at some point. All of the things that we see under the town forests. I would prefer to see under. Wherever that money would go, which would probably be the Conservation Commission to maintain. To do maintenance work, upkeep work, whatever it is. And it could be vague, which it could include. Mowing or chipping at Boyce, or beetle work at McCullough, but there's some sort of, it's just a vague maintenance upkeep budget. And we get to track all of those every year. And then, even though it's $0, because it's coming out of the town forest, we have a sense of, okay, that was 3,500 for all the maintenance work, and then.
Here's an.
Well, I think, that it is all on the spreadsheet.
Yeah, it just gets, I think it's kind of weird. If if we can't actually do line items, if we're just gonna keep zeroing. I mean, I don't know, maybe we should just go into the town forest and go through all the projected costs
Yes,
that we're
let's
gonna
do
draw
that.
down.
So I have I know you're an accountant. I am not, but this is an accounting solution to your issue. Which is, we put the line items in the Conservation Commission. And we put a town's forest reserve fund, transfer it to the Conservation Commission. So. Right,
That can work.
yeah. Could have been, I would have been bad.
Well, can I also, this just came up in the conversation that we've had with Kai today. And just the idea, a budget should reflect your values, correct?
Sure.
And like, there's just so much sort of mundane kind of, maintenance-y kind of stuff in here, and it just would be nice to see, I don't know, like we talked about getting some people who have expertise in the field of amphibians to Chasebrook to do a survey. And Kai is certainly doing an incredible amount of work in that that town forest. Getting somebody in there to do some sort of survey of, you know, the inside, I mean, there's just so much information that is sort of intriguing to seek. And, you know, does that mean paying a stipend, or I would think that some of these people would expect some sort of compensation. And so I'm thinking along those lines. I don't know, you guys are the budget people and know what that might look like, but it's also, you know, just some of the ways in which we would love to get walks. You know, get some of these folks to guide a walk or lead a talk in our town forests, and money that might need to be allocated to those ends. Which, you know, just some of the more substantial ways in which we can showcase and highlight and draw community to these places.
Engagement.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I guess I would propose, so if we go into the. Well, if we go, the next thing is the Conservation Reserve Fund. Right, so we asked for 4, got 3,500 and. And you're,
So there's nothing there, but I would think, I'm just adding now, I think we should just, you know, ask for 4 again, they'll probably authorize 3,500, that's what they've been authorizing.
Yeah.
For probably since the inception.
Sounds good.
yeah,
that's fine. I'm also fine with 3,500, we. Given what they said in the reports, but I'm good either way.
what do you mean? You
So
just
mine-
said,
Well, the report last year, when they came out, basically said that they would continue to do these funds at 3,500, so they were already forecasting it out. But that doesn't mean we can't ask for more.
Yeah.
I don't know what seems more, I mean, we have significant interest in building that up because we don't know when the opportunity will come.
is there a greater philosophical reason to ask for more than you know you're going to be
I
receiving?
think for $2, I really don't care.
Right.
which way.
What
It-
about
it-
equipment and
The,
maintenance?
the incentive to offer less
mhm,
Well,
comes up when you ask for less.
there's
right,
that.
Kim?
Yes. I was gonna say, what about putting in a line item for equipment or maintenance and repairs? You know, for getting this mower done, things like that, that we can use. That's something people understand and we can say, look, we can't just rely on Sugar Bush for this and you know, we need to be able to maintain these properties.
Yeah, and we are spending money having other people do some of that work, and we're borrowing from.
Exactly.
To make use of equipment. Which that's kind of a very nice. Thing that people are doing out of gratitude, but you know, I can't count on it.
Well, we have some, we have some equipment maintenance in the town forest, so maybe when we get there, we can decide whether we're making a request.
Yeah.
Up above for this budget, or whether we're just
Yeah.
drawing down the town forest for the things like the weed whacker and mower, but.
Okay.
Yeah, so if we went in, so. 4,000 for the Conservation Reserve Fund, just to close that.
Yes,
I think so.
Okay, so the town forest, I would say with the questions of Chase Brook. That. If we think that these are future. Things we would ask for, that we would say something like survey work. But whatever the estimate is for the survey work, and if it happens, it's a drawdown on the town forest reserve. If it doesn't happen, well, we can think about it for the next year, but I would have a line item so that they see that we might use. I have no idea, you know, we could get an estimate before we do it, whether it's anywhere from $3,000 to $5,000 for somebody to get out there and do a vernal pool assessment or whatever it is that helps us with management, if that's an important thing. And so I would put it under Chase Brook as a, some sort of, yeah. This, ecological assessment.
Okay,
And then you have your Chase Brook management plan update. So if there's any expenses for Kai or others if, Kai said he would do it in
Kai would
kind.
Yeah, we
But
want logging hours, but the other thing that we talked about today was just more budgeted for Michael Brown. For the day that we present our draft plan.
Mhm.
And I think we just thought maybe $1,000 more, which we're unlikely to spend, but just to be sure that we got
Yeah, none
that
of,
base
When's the
covered.
fiscal year end?
December 31st,
September.
December.
Oh, okay.
and these are really more so they see the anticipated costs since we're drawing down the town forest reserve.
Mhm.
So it's just trying to identify to them the costs that we may incur. And also, when the town forest reserve fund is all gone, they see why we're asking for whatever it is, because the budget's gonna go from very small to big once the town forest reserve fund's gone. Do you continue with the stewardship anticipated? Well, the estimates for
I mean, there really have been no,
maintenance costs, zero.
there have not been any costs.
Trail signage,
Is there, so I don't see anything.
do you wanna, do you estimate getting trails after the management plan is done up in 2026 or a new kiosk or?
Well, I think the kiosk is definitely a topic of conversation, but
It looks like that was for Boyce. Well, yeah, you guys had 1,000, but I don't know what was already done.
There was cost sharing also,
Yeah,
so I haven't really noticed looking at the, yes, you're talking about redoing it.
I probably would put it 500 to 1,000 for estimated sign costs if you were, it's in the forest reserve fund, so it doesn't.
So when I add to that, like, I think one thing also to consider, we're working with Be the Change.
Yeah,
And there's no charge
for their signs.
for their signs.
Right.
Or the seed. But it might be nice to make, just as we're contributing to CRB potentially, Bear Initiative, to make some sort of donation to Be the Change, or contribution to Be the Change in recognition of that
right.
work. I don't know what's typical, but a couple $100.
Mm.
There'll be 3 lovely signs. I have pictures of what it looks like behind the Waterbury Library.
I would totally
Totally,
support.
yeah.
I support that.
And, yeah,
So maybe we put,
it's just
and
another.
again, like, that
collaborative
just
effort.
draws down the reserve.
Yeah,
It's all money, but it wouldn't be something,
Reflecting
That I
your
would-
values,
sorry,
it's reflecting your values, our
It does.
values.
All right, other,
and many things too, by the way, well, since we're on this, to Patty Paisley. For all of the work that she's been doing stewarding Chasebrook Town Forest and, working to get that area prepped, and then Amy. And her amazing work the other
oh, you're
day,
so,
as
so
she
generous.
got after it with your
I-
wonderful weed whacker.
I think that could be town forest. The degree to which that work is very specific to volunteering in the town forest,
Mm.
but it's also, the ways in which we thank our volunteers, we have under annual operating expenses, the note says volunteer recruitment, and so. Do we have? I think it's important to recognize and thank volunteers and we can do that in different, it could be a pizza party, it could be like a small thank you gift, but whatever it is based on. And so I think those should be, that should always be a placeholder for us. And I think we probably are fine with what we have,
Here in our annual operating expenses.
Yeah, the 1,000.
Yeah, I think we're
but
totally fine.
since we don't. Yeah, since it seems like it's a catch-all, but
Are we getting pizza on Saturday? I'm
I think-
expecting it now.
I do think taking care of volunteers is really important to be part of the gratitude. And so,
You know what, I agree, I mean, fine, I buy creamies out of my own pocket, like every
Mhm.
day we have the interns here in Fayston. But at the invasives workshop that we had on Monday, Sean from North Branch Nature Centers was talking about the fact that when they are doing their invasives, like people love signing up to plant a tree. People do not necessarily love coming out to,
Yeah.
but not we,
Yeah.
which I've also discovered. They do like creamies. But one thing that they were doing was having sort of like a potluck. I mean, this is kind of
Mm.
off topic,
No.
that didn't necessarily cost anything, but to your point,
Yeah.
maybe, pizza also would help with,
Yeah.
invasives management. here
Seems
in
like
Fayston.
really good idea. Food is motivating.
Yeah. Well,
Food is very motivating.
I'll bake cookies for Saturday. That's what I'll do.
Woody bakes
It's
cookies.
it's easier than not knowing how many people are gonna show up and trying to have pizza and interrupt the work.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But something like a snack, like cookies, homemade,
Do you,
by
that
Woody,
should go.
they're good.
Would you like me to make some?
I know,
I thought you were gonna say banana bread.
I could do the banana. bread.
Use a TV bread too.
Okay, I'll make some.
These are all lovely. The.
Moving on.
The other thought was like budgetary, whether, we need budgetary
Yeah.
line items for this kind of thing, and so.
Cookies.
So at least, all right, so we feel like we're covered for Chase Brook. We haven't gotten to the machines that we may need, but then we have Boyce Hill.
Okay, before we leave Chase Brook, we have this lovely old barn on the property, and among the suggestions. We got after the, historical video was done, anyway, is some interpretive stuff could go in there. It's, that's a project, right,
Yeah.
that someone would need to sign up for. I think that'd be a great project.
You mean like history signage on the reconstruction of the barn?
Yeah, like that, like this is an example of,
Well, we just talked about that, just a
Yeah.
historical timeline of Chase Brook.
Well,
like,
okay,
geologic.
No,
Well,
I think more, well.
historic use,
More people history.
Yeah,
farming,
Yeah.
logging.
like
Before-
evil colonizers who supplanted the,
And maybe a bit of the, the wonderful presentation that we had that I did about the, the reconstruction of the barn.
yeah,
That'd be very cool.
yeah,
So we should put in, interpret it, we have trail maps and signage. Just add to that, or
yeah, well,
it says signage,
we'll make it. a
Yeah,
line
that's
item.
fine.
a separate one,
Yeah,
alright.
All right, doing it.
Is there a cost we want to put on that?
yes, there is.
You guys know more about what the sign
Yeah,
costs have been.
what would be reasonable?
well, we've proposed to do that kind of signage at Boyce Hill for all along, but we've never
Yeah,
gotten about to it, and so we don't really know.
Okay.
That sort of signage would cost. You may have
we
some
talked about it.
sensibility that signs cost more than you think,
oh, yeah,
depending on what you're trying to put on.
yeah,
Photographic are expensive,
yeah,
maps are expensive,
1,000?
good materials are expensive. What did the poop fairy sign cost?
like $600 or
Oh my
something.
gosh.
Yeah,
For one sign.
yeah, it's aluminum,
So $1,000 will
Not go far.
hardly
yeah,
cover
That's so
something
far.
you want to be
Can
enduring.
we put in
Yeah.
2,000 for that?
Definitely.
It's a place to start.
yeah.
Sounds
So you
reasonable.
wrote
Done.
town for specific map for kiosk and updated.
By the way, we had friends in town and we went up and saw the Poop Fairy signs, and our friends who work as part of a collaborative in New Hampshire took photos of those. They thought the signs were great. So they're going to try and match those in New Hampshire.
Where they are.
I had a lovely conversation. I was at Boyce with my mentee, and there was a guy with a dog not on leash, and
Mhm.
I had the conversation. Well, it is the rules. He said, well, welcome to planet Earth.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was
Did you hand him a poop bag and say, please get after it?
He had a poop bag.
Oh, okay,
He did. He
Just
did
didn't
that.
have
better than
space.
nothing.
It isn't nothing. I looked for it because it wasn't a happy vibe, you know, kind of. And I was looking for him to have left it for us, but I think he even took it.
Oh, good,
Yeah.
that's good.
We need a sign that says, this is not planet Earth. This is
Right.
Hill.
Yeah.
All right, Boys Hill, do you guys, the numbers from. Looks like there's some filling in to do for the estimated budget. Uh,
So as usual, we have no idea what the cost of mowing really is or would be if we needed it, so we would probably be seeking the same anticipated
Yeah,
preparation to fund and put that kind of line in again. That'd be the $4,000 that we did in the past. I think
Mhm.
that
it's in there.
would cover the kind of things that we've gotten services from Ben Bridgewater and Mike
Cute.
Quinville. I think together they claimed close to $1,000 in fees that they charged for their contribution of work and equipment this year. And the additional 3,000 is a good number to at least have in our anticipation of the possibility that we have to come up with an alternative at any time for other mowing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Um,
So you've got 4K in the budget request that talks about. You know, if we had to pay someone besides Sugar Bush to do it, and you list the DR mower there.
Yeah, that would just be that DR
That would-
mower that you were talking about, so, you know,
Yeah, so the DR mower is like, I don't know, should I push the mower or should you get a self-propelled? Yeah.
Self-propelled.
That,
can we put in a separate stand,
Mhm.
for the
Tools, we could just have a line for tools and
tools?
equipment. And a burlier walk behind, I don't know if it'd be self-propelled or not, but it's $4,000 for one of the field and brush mower.
yeah.
Do you,
The model that we've been running that has broken down on us
Mhm.
was about, I think that's about $1,100 less.
Right, yeah.
so, what's is the proposal to put for tools and equipment 4,000? With a note that we are buying a DR, looking at purchasing a DR
Anticipating.
mower?
Mhm. So. It's $2,200. But I don't think that's self-propelled.
It's coming out of the, if we're off at 5,000, it doesn't matter. If we decide to do it, it's coming out of Norfolk Reserve, so.
Yeah.
Mhm.
There's there might be justification for using donation money for them
Yeah,
also, if
mhm.
we felt that we needed to protect the town forest reserve to sustain us for a longer period of time. I don't think I think that would go over okay.
Yeah,
So we
I
put,
think getting a model that does more than what Sally's does, Pete,
yeah,
would be a good choice, because she's gonna continue to want to encourage us to use hers for the time being. And maybe we can do something for her with the different machinery, because I know she's run into some things like that. It will be a good way to think in return, to have the equipment that's mutually beneficial.
Yeah. Mhm.
Okay. 4K.
Do it, yeah.
With that.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't call it a weed whacker, just for, I mean, these things cut 2-inch saplings, so. Yeah,
Yeah. Um. But we might also want a weed whacker for the other, for Chasebrook? Or what are the needs for Chasebrook?
Well, it has
Lawnmower
he's
and-
been mowing and weed whacking, because, but
There's
there's
a
not a
mower there.
lot to mow, but there's. Is there,
There's
especially with the.
Yeah,
a lot of
yeah,
tons
it-
of mow, and there is a mower, I'm not sure where she got it, but it's in the, barn,
Okay.
Oh, okay, so there's one there,
A lawnmower.
lawnmower, sorry.
okay.
Alright, so we don't need it for now. Maintenance for the pond? Is there an anticipated expense?
you can fish out the bass. They're thriving.
I don't think we have any pond maintenance expenses. This year. I think we will at some point start talking about whether we need to do an improvement to the overflow situation.
Mhm.
Where a swale could be created at one end of the pond that would allow water to. If it had an extreme high water event, flow into a area that's flow over the bank in an area that's not likely to erode the dam away. Because of the outflow would be less steep, but
Okay,
Maybe
would-
something for
that
20.
was something that the person who. The previous owner who built the pond. Alluded to that had been in the original design. But never was done. So we're thinking about it.
quick time check too, it's 6:45, so. Try to get through this before we run out of time. So do we have are we putting 0 for that this year?
Yes,
Mhm.
Okay, and then we didn't have anything for. Educational field walks, presentations, I take it we don't have the. We can take off the historical interpretive video
Yeah,
off, we don't need that in the budget anymore.
correct.
But field walks and presentation costs. Is there any anticipated expenses?
We need some.
And these kind of things, I feel like.
On the committee to organize that
yeah,
Yeah,
before we start figuring out what we might be asking for it.
Yeah, this is where I feel like this budget gets a little clunky because it's got old things that we don't need.
yeah.
And some of these things are not for one forest or the other.
Yeah, I think this is our working document, and what goes to the select board, I think will, for like the budget would ultimately get rid of
Yeah,
things we're not doing then.
yeah. Um,
Do we want a placeholder though for educational field walks, et cetera? I mean, would we put in $500? Have we typically given a stipend for somebody who does a talk or a walk?
Mad Birders does them,
but then.
gratis, yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
I think, yeah, I mean, it would be easy enough to. Ask Jim, the guy that did the presentation at Cupboards, what he would charge if he came
Mhm.
to do that and. Survey that town forest.
mhm.
I think we could easily get an idea.
Okay,
It'd be less than 500.
I would
Yeah.
hope so.
Yeah,
all right, well. I'm just gonna try to keep us moving. So there was. Estimated request for kiosk and signage and.
Is there anything more needed, or?
So we still want to put historical little signage like by the cellar hole and by the corral and. And getting that any fun. But, you know, but. We wanna do cheap.
So like 1,000. Okay,
Um. Any trail work?
So. No, I don't think so.
Okay. You had some, okay, those were all, I assume that lumber, Bridgewaters, that was all trail expenses?
That
Or,
was for the, yeah,
Okay.
around the pond, yeah.
got it. So
Stewart
then,
MRB supplies all the poop bags and whatnot, or we have to pay for
School
that.
would be,
Yeah.
that's it.
okay,
Anything more for the pond improvement access, or that's pretty good now?
We're good.
I mean, it's wonderful is what I think, but
Muscles.
Yes.
Yeah.
Have you walked on the bridge yet?
yeah, it was great.
Right? And just the right step, you know, it's a little bouncy on the bottom bridges to be hit like in the middle.
Great feedback.
all right,
You
so,
have?
Huh?
You've gotten some?
Oh, yeah, lots.
That's good.
I think the last two are what, benches and equipment maintenance fuel?
We just leave that the same, 250.
What line are you
Fuel.
on?
I'm on
Yeah.
61, the equipment maintenance fuel. We didn't have any actual expenses that were submitted yet.
Yeah, I think, that's correct. 250 should cover that.
Okay.
And was the idea with benches that somebody might donate them?
I'm kind of anticipating that more will be offered. And, the question is. There had been some discussion, well, I don't think this is maybe budget. Let's leave that out.
Another-
Leave it out. All righty,
I'll comment on that another time.
okay, so that covers all the expenses, I think. And then projected incomes,
So another 3,500 from Big Basin,
Very likely.
Mhm.
yeah.
Well, that would total 22,000 netting off that donation and maybe a little tree pruning.
should we do,
22,000 planned drawdown to the town forest reserve, which would then put us at 22,000. Cause we've got 44.
yeah,
Yeah,
so
right.
zero, no tiny grant anticipated this year,
No.
since we just did that.
Is there a reason why we couldn't apply for another one?
No, we
No.
could, but it's 350, 700.
I wonder if they
max.
just try to spread the wealth.
Maybe, yeah, that's fine
It
too.
might be hard
Yeah.
to,
You know, if we thought about billable hours that went into deciding. How to recognize them for the $300 grant for the video, it would have been at least a wash.
so the 22,000 includes how much from the drawdown?
So
12?
so 25,800 are the total expenses, the 3,800 would be donations and tree pruning. So 22,000 would be the drawdown
Oh, 20, oh,
on the reserve.
oh, okay, so then where's the final? So our total budget request?
Is up above, just the
73.
7,300 on row 37. Oh, sorry, going up further.
22.
6,750 on line 18 for the annual conservation
Plus the,
fund.
plus the CRF,
plus
so
the
we're looking
four
at
thousand.
10,750 that we're actually asking for.
Mhm, yep.
Okay. Any final questions about the budget?
So this, yeah, this looks good. And what is the timing of our process need to be with the select board?
They will ask us to come present it to them. I wanna say it was like November,
Oh,
but there's no reason we couldn't ask to come earlier,
Yeah.
now that it's done
Right.
earlier than it was last year.
So I mean, is it before the end of the fiscal year, or you think November is when we wanna, I mean, obviously we get into holidays. so
Yeah, no, it
it's
was
November.
November, maybe it was like early December, we were trying to push it out, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
But we're ready, so.
yeah.
All right, so we have 8 minutes left. Um. What? Looking at the agenda, are there aspects that folks would like to prioritize for discussion?
Yeah.
Yes.
I would just like to talk about, yeah, briefly the five-town collaboration,
Okay,
Mhm.
Which is driven, well, we have our, wider tri-town collaboration in the meeting that we had, et cetera. But there's a narrower, I guess, tri-town collaboration around invasives.
Mhm.
That's been ongoing for years. And, the mechanics of paying the interns, administering the grants has been wonky, challenging administratively for Waitsfield and Fayston. Waitsfield and Warren, we've been really lucky to just get a bill
Mhm.
from Waitsfield. So the interns are paid, partially by Warren as part-time employees, by Waitsfield as independent contractors. Kurt administers the grant, there's just all kinds of stuff that, that needs to go on administratively. And so what's been discussed, well, and the goats, throw the goats in there, the goat contract, with the goat herder, et cetera. So there's been discussion around potentially a collaboration, a 501(c)(3, collaboration with Friends of the Mad River, whether that's, somehow in coordination and under a Friends of the Mad River umbrella, which,
As a fiscal agent kind of thing.
yeah, which is already happening with the goats.
Mhm.
But all these different ideas are being discussed, so I wanted to, bring that here. Nothing has been obviously decided, we would all need to, weigh in on whether that was something Fayston Conservation wanted to be a part of. One of the things that has been discussed is, if something like that was to come to be, there would be a representative from each of the conservation commissions, but then others, that had a, I don't know, like a broader view, in the valley. So that's what I have for now.
So
That was
my
a meeting last
question
Friday.
is, how would that proposed entity or whatever be different from really what already exists with the Prince of the Mad River?
So the difference would be that it would be its own entity, right? What differences, would there be? It would be a different mission, not exactly the same mission as the Friends of the Mad River.
I don't,
Well,
as its own 50, well, as its own nonprofit. With a fiscal agent seeking 501(c)(3,
Mhm.
doesn't need the C3,
No, I
Right.
understand, yeah.
so. It could be a board and all volunteer board, but
Mhm.
it doesn't. Ira's probably already tapped out and so at that point, as a fiscal agent, it's whatever, they typically take an X%, right? And that's just simply for the budget, like to manage the expenses.
That's
So he doesn't have to go to meetings, like
Mhm.
that board would decide they're going after grants. Ira doesn't have to be a part of that. Like
Mhm.
if Friends is on it, it could just be Friends of the Mad River Valley Conservation Commissions, FOMRVCC.
Well,
What?
Wow.
it's alphabets.
But it could be,
Stew.
right, if there was, there's already Friends of the Mad River, but like typically this is where you get Friends of a National Park, right? Where they
Right.
sit as like a side nonprofit that can go out and get funds and work with volunteers, like that's a very
Mhm.
classic nonprofit
Mhm.
Friends type thing. Friends of the Mad River really kind of confuses it because they have that word in their name, but if that existed as a nonprofit with a fiscal agent, maybe one of the Friends staff shows up, is on the board, maybe not, like they don't. It could just be the CCs, like, or it could just be 3 board members meeting and making decisions to apply for a grant, like it could be very low profile.
Mhm.
And bureaucracy, it'd be a little bit more streamlined for them to operate. And not have the headaches, because then they get to make the choices of applying for the grant and responding, and the money goes through Friends for the C3 coverage, but that's about it, and you don't have to keep asking Friends, like, will you support this? It's like,
This also sounds like a good conversation for the Tri-Town Conservation Commission
yeah,
gathering
Mhm.
that we'll be
Right.
holding.
Mhm.
I mean, I don't know how imminent people would like to see this entity formed.
I think for right now, I mean, with, whatever next grant is happening,
Yeah.
Kurt will probably go forth.
Yeah.
As town of Waitsfield, will be asked for a letter of support. Which
Okay.
hopefully we would support. So I think that's what's imminent, and this is. I would say, I don't wanna say like long-term, like 5 years in the, we've been. Actively talking about it and.
it wouldn't
researching
take
it.
long to make it happen.
No,
No.
And organizational structures can be created that keeps it in the control of the commissions and
It wouldn't be at the control of
No.
the commissions. The commissions would have seats as board members,
seats as board members.
but it would be a distinct nonprofit. So, Fayston would have a seat as a board member, right? And they could go and say, we should do this, and then if it's 3 board members, the other 2 board members say no, it's like, that's that, it's like, that's what that organization decided to do, so. It would, but the structure of it, the bylaws and articles of incorporation for the Friends of the Conservation Commissions. Could all be relatively, are not hard to put together, and I don't know Vermont business law, but I've done this in other states. It typically is pretty easy to do these things. The question is whether the conservation commissions want to create a Friends structure where those people sit wearing a different hat when they're in that meeting. When is the next, is there,
so we just met Friday, Ira actually has reached out. To. Trying to get something together, I think, for even.
We don't need to go into it more now, but it's like, I'm not sure what I understand the problem that this is trying to solve. Or the opportunity it's trying to.
I assume everything right now has to have Friends stamp of approval, so it gets hemmed in a bit.
Well,
And
it's
if
a
there's-
couple, it's the goats, the goats, monies go, had been going to Friends. There's also a contract, I think Warren has the contract with the goats, it's just very fragmented,
Right.
again, like, we have not felt the pain here in Fayston.
Right.
Because we just get our bill from,
So the pain is that somebody from Fayston, I mean, from Waitsfield, seems to be doing the administrative duties entirely. So if you form a 501 of some sort, who then does the
The
administrative?
board,
the
Yeah.
board.
It could be the same person, but they also don't.
Yeah,
but then
They
it's
don't have
not,
a town of Waitsfield complication with, oh, that's gotta be an independent contractor, and it's like, think of all the
Yeah.
town liability aspects, where it's like, no, this is a nonprofit, and they might decide, the board may decide to get nonprofit insurance. But overall, like, it's a sealed corporation, nonprofit business, so they don't have to worry about whatever the town of Warren has when it comes to employees, or it's like,
right.
that nonprofit is like,
I
we
get
have a
that,
grant,
yeah.
we're getting some interns, and they get to do it without the complications of
And they
the
can be
towns.
relied on to distribute equitably and all that.
Yeah, pay stubs, all of that would just be, it'd be, a grant comes into the organization and
Right.
payment goes out from the organization.
yeah, again,
Base-
we've been so
okay.
lucky, we have not had to deal with any of it, or it has taken the brunt.
Yeah.
Um, so
Keep up the good
the
work.
next grant, is called a Healthy Ecosystems Grant. So I will draft a letter of support to circulate,
Mhm.
with the details of what, the town of Waitsfield will apply for it. And it's just been essentially meant to, continue the invasives work.
Mhm.
Um,
And that's through the Lake Basin.
Champlain Basin Program. Mhm.
Cool.
So will you let us know if there's a coming
Yeah,
meeting with the
yeah.
tri?
Trying to get this, the
I-
emails have been going today, so hopefully
Before-
sometime next week.
We're a couple minutes beyond, but just a couple, before we adjourn, items for next month's agenda. So I haven't heard back from Aaron, but I think the plan is still that he presents. But are there other aspects that we also want to cover in October? The November meeting is like the day before Thanksgiving, I think.
Did we want to push that up a week
It's a
or
week.
something?
For that,
November.
I had the November meeting as that it was already moved to the wait, wrong one,
I have it on the 26th right now, but
the 6th.
is that right?
Yeah,
Uh,
it is.
We pushed the bear meeting to the 18th. Do we want to, Tuesday, do we want to push this or move it earlier to the 19th?
I think
Yes,
it seems
please.
like sense for the
19th?
potential for,
Are folks okay with that? November
Sure.
19th?
yeah.
Yes.
Oh, you do?
Yeah,
It's the Rotary thing. It Probably knows it.
Do you have a different date you want to propose to see if folks can make it?
Or the 12th?
Which is like to be a Wednesday,
Right.
yeah.
it does need to be a Wednesday, no.
No.
12th works for me.
The 12th for folks?
I think so.
Shall work.
I'm out of the country that day.
But other than that,
How about the 18th? How about the Tuesday, the
Yeah,
18th
would that
in the
work?
evening?
I can't do that.
No.
day.
Thursday, the 20th?
That looks okay on my end.
The 20th looks good.
We
Good
have-
for me.
Good for Ken.
We can ask.
yeah, it's good for me.
Oh,
So
right.
the 20th,
Yeah. It would be on the calendar, wouldn't it? Fayston BT, or
Well, Andrea's looking at that. If there's a November meeting, Misha is asking folks whether they would be interested in hearing a update presentation on the Mad River Path. And is seeking support from entities, nonprofit and recreation and commissions. Do folks want to hear about the Mad River Path?
When is this big party?
October 1st.
Yeah,
So you'll hear a lot about it then.
yeah,
But if you wanted Misha to come in and talk about how he and the path are approaching fundraising and some of the issues. I feel like it's a little bit outside of the Conservation Commission because it's it falls well within CRV, but it's not within the town of Fayston. And there's other reasons why those conservation commissions for Warren and Waitsfield would support a
Yeah.
project that,
Right.
that are not in front of us,
Right.
but I wanted to at least
I
be,
don't think we need to.
okay. But
I'm interested in attending.
I'm gonna
the
be
event.
there on
If
the
what's
first.
going on, it would be to give another meeting to,
yeah, all right,
The 20th looks great on the town's calendar.
all right, so the 20th.
Let's try to get that penciled in.
okay. I think that's it for tonight then, unless there's any last calls for discussion.
I think that's it, not enough.
Thanks, Kim.
Sorry about all the alarms. Andy's cooking.
That's pretty funny.
It will be
Did we need to
delicious.
get over there with some extinguishers?
No, we're doing a nice mushroom stroganoff though, so we'll see. It's gonna be perfect
go.
after 87 alarms.
Soon.
I harvested some honey mushrooms that, we felled a
Oh
willow
my
tree
gosh.
ages ago. And the roots are still there and now they give us mushrooms every year. I'm dehydrating them.
All right, well, I'm gonna call the meeting to a close. Let Kim go, thank you.
Fine.
All right.
Au revoir.
Hi guys,
Bye.
thank you.
You.